Hello everyone, welcome to my micro teaching and module of endocrinology. And today we're going to have a topic, we're going to talk about the insulin receptors. And before we begin, I picked out some of the hard words during my presentation. I will explain it first in English and Chinese, Mandarin, to eliminating the misunderstandings, and hopefully these part can give everyone a better vocabulary to understand my presentation. So the first word actually is insulin, which is 胰岛素 in Mandarin. And the next one, when we talk about insulin, there's another like a different hormone that can actually increase the blood sugar in the body, in the human body, is called the glucagon, 胰高血糖素. The next one is, of course, receptor, because we're gonna talk about it, is from the verb recept, the noun style 的名词形式，受体的接受的名词形式，也就是受体。那么和这个受体相对的 the other parts that which matching the receptor actually is ligand, 是配体。And another word we're going to talk about it in a very high frequency is called RTK. That's abbreviation. Actually, it stands for receptor tyrosine kinase, 酪氨酸受体激酶。Next one is domain. Domain 是一个计算机网络上面常用的用词，也就是我们通常说的域名。但是在生理生化部分呢，这个东西指的是在peptide， 在这个肽链上面的一个域，咱们就直接翻译成什么什么域，它叫 domain。The next one is called targeted cell， 也就是中文里面的靶细胞。Next one is another word, transmembrane. We're going to talk about this a lot, is 跨膜运输。And next one is dimer, which is 二聚体。And then is heterodimer, or heterodimer is 异二聚体。Insulin binds, which means 胰岛素锚定或者胰岛素绑定。Insulin dependent, which is type 1 diabetes, is 胰岛素依赖。And the other one, of course, is insulin independent, 也就是咱们说非胰岛素依赖型的糖尿病。And of course, we're going to talk about another word a lot, is cascade. Cascade 英中文翻译成瀑布，所以说在胰岛素的作用方面，降低血糖的作用方面，咱们翻译成瀑布反应，或者是级联反应。级是年级的级，联是联合的联，级联反应。Another word is adipose. Adipose actually is another formal word for fat tissue, 是脂肪组织的意思。Okay, so after we learning about these words, let's dive in to learn some knowledge about the insulin receptor. The insulin receptor is a transmembrane receptor that resides in the plasma membrane and is activated by the binding of insulin. I picked this pen, this big, like a double-tipped highlighter, and I use this cap as insulin. So this tip actually stands for the outside of plasma membrane part is extramembrane part, and this part is membrane. And this part actually I use as an intracellular part. And this is insulin. So the insulin can be caught by the insulin receptor, the outer cellular part perfectly, which this process is called insulin binding. So the insulin receptor belongs to the large class of receptor tyrosine kinase. Is RTK family. That actually is a big family of a lot of receptors. The RTK are made up of 3 distinct parts. So that's an extracellular domain, which the ligand binding sites and the transmembrane region, and an intracellular domain with the tyrosine kinases that initiate the signaling, the cascade like pathways. So the insulin receptor binds the insulin hormone and initiates a cascade of events transmembrane within the cell. The receptor resides within the plasma membrane. It stays in the plasma membrane of insulin-targeted cells. And where are these cells? These cells are found in various tissues or organs, such as the liver and the different tissues, like the muscle tissue. Of course, it's called skeletal muscle tissue, and adipose, which is fatty tissues. And the insulin receptor is activated by multiple insulin molecules binding to various sites on the receptor. So once it's activated, once they cut insulin and activate it, the receptor serves as the gateway to enter into the cells, serve the gateway for the regulation of various cellular processes, including the glucose transport, glycogen storage, and even gene expression. So additionally, which means the problem with the insulin receptor, if this part not working very well, they are associated with the large development of diseases such as the Alzheimer, type 2 diabetes, and even cancer. So what actually does the insulin receptor look like? The insulin receptor is a dimer of heterodimers made of actually 2 alpha subunits and 2 beta subunits. So within the extracellular domain, there are actually 4 binding sites to catch the insulin, can interact with the insulin ligands on the extracellular part of the membrane. So in a healthy individual, the insulin secreted and binding to the insulin receptor, they initiate a burst of psychological response. But the incorrect insulin signaling leads to multiple disease states, including diabetes. So the insulin is not working well. Type 1 diabetes is classified as insulin dependent, and it involves an inability and not able for the body to produce insulin. So actually the whole amount of insulin in the body, they're either damaged or insufficiency in the pancreas. But type 2 diabetes is classified as insulin independent, and the result of the body producing sufficient or over amounts of insulin, but sadly the signal pathway is something wrong. So the correct tissue is not responding to the insulin. So a type 2 diabetes produces insulin, but when the insulin molecule binding to the insulin receptor, the signal is not properly transmitted intracellularly. So which means the signal being disrupted or went wrong in the pathway. But even after more than 100 years after insulin actually being discovered, the real discovery of the basis of for insulin resistance in the typical type 2 diabetes is very complex, very complicated, and cannot yet be explained by only one particular factor.